Yeah, I can't wait for that fight, man. What are we looking at anyway? What did you think of the fights over the weekend? We called it pretty much to a T. We thought RDA would probably squeak out a decision over Paul Felder pretty easily.
I mean, I did say on our Instagram page a split decision as well.
Yeah, split. That's crazy though, right? We have to look. There was a strange scorecard, 48-47 for Felder. I don't know what the fuck that guy was watching. What do you say? Like, I mean, Paul Felder looked good. I mean, it's the fastest he's ever looked, in my opinion. I think he looked fast. He looked like a guy who was training for, a triathlon and had hit some pads. That's what it looked like. So yeah, so apparently he hadn't stepped into an MMA gym in over 4 months. So like you could see that his striking was sort of dialed in, but he was taking a lot of shots. He's tough as shit, but he couldn't really stop the takedown. Wasn't as strong as he normally is in the transitions and the positioning against the fence and on the ground.
In saying that, it wasn't it was a win-win for Felder because everybody respects the shit out of him right now. And not like they didn't already. And on top of that, I mean, if he won, what would happen?
Well, other than the fact that he didn't win, and I don't think anyone really expected him to win, he was on Contender yesterday.
Yes.
3 days later, you cannot tell me that guy, if you don't love, he's just...
Look good, too.
He's one of the most beloved fighters for a reason, man. Like, you cannot fault the guy for taking a fight, as you said, on 6 days' notice. He's a huge lightweight who basically spent the entire time just cutting weight, made the weight, and a bunch of other fighters fell off of that card for not making weight or catching COVID, and he
let him know.
Yeah, he let him know, man. Like, that's what it is, this business. You fucking show up and you make weight, and he did.
So he's not going anywhere as well.
Yeah. Quickly, speaking of making weight, what about Mike Perry having to lose, 25 pounds in 9 days?
Gotta be thick. That's gonna be rough.
25, what's 25 pounds? Wait, producer dude will pull that shit up.
10 kilos,
25
10 or 11
pounds
kilos.
in kilos. I think it's
22 pounds to a kilo.
Over here in Australia, for anyone who's listening as well, we measure in kilograms, not pounds, but we think about 25 pounds.
I'm going to say it's like
about
12
10,
kilos.
Yeah, 10 to 12 kilos. That's a rough cut in 9 days. I don't even
Dude,
know.
he's eating cornettos and shit.
Yeah.
Like,
good luck
posted on... Oh, what the fuck?
All right. And I want to highlight RDA as well. It's also a big cut for him as well, especially when he's been training to get back down to 55. He had to cut off a fair bit of weight. It's been thick.
Yeah. Your
boy got thick. It was good to see him come back to 55. I do believe it's the weight class where he excels the most. He had a good run at welterweight, but...
He's not big enough.
He is not, yeah. You can see that RDA, from what I can see, going to break it down, is one of those guys, if he can't out-physical you, he loses. That seems to be the only way he loses. Like, he loses the same fight every single time. He just gets out-physicaled.
And good luck out-physicaling anyone in the top 5 of welterweight.
Yeah,
good
exactly. And we
luck.
saw, like, he had a good run at welterweight, moving up against, your Tarek Safadine, your Neil Magny, your Robbie Lawler.
Yeah.
He was able to make his game and his style more prominent and was able to beat those guys down, especially Neil Magny. He ran over Neil Magny.
Yeah, which is no joke. Neil Magny's
but yeah, you could see, like, once you get to the top of welterweight, you're running into guys like Colby, who he fought for the interim title, Usman straight after.
Edwards.
Yeah, it's rough. So going back down to 55, I thought he looked excellent. As you could see, he wasn't at his best either because he had been training for a wrestler. You could see that he was well conditioned, but yeah, man, he looked mean. I was impressed to see RDA get that win, but also we got to look at it this way. He kind of dodged a bullet there with Islam.
Big old Dagestani bullet.
I feel bad for Islam, just because now RDA's won. I don't think he's looking back in that direction at all. I don't think he wants anything to do with Islam.
Islam's tweeting at him like, "We got unfinished business," and he's like,
"Nah, son,
business is done and business is good."
Yeah. And I think you got to reward both fighters. You got to reward Felder with something. You can't give him such a huge step down, giving the performance that he has done and the way that he was able to do so much media and build the fight up in just under 6 days.
I know you still give him the Charles Oliveira fight.
I would say I would like to see either the guy fight Charles Oliveira. I would not be mad if RDA fought him as well. I think that it kind of like what happened with Conor McGregor, where he fights Donald Cowboy Cerrone at 170, and then now he's fighting basically the #1 contender at lightweight in his next fight in Poirier. I feel like, RDA jumping in, getting one win over a someone who's ranked 7th or 6th, and Paul Felder.
6. No.
I think he's 6th, right? Or 7th? 7th.
7th.
So, yeah, he's tied with
8th now, which makes sense.
Yeah, so, but like, you know what I mean? You get one fight in the division and you're already ranked in the top 10. Like, I feel like that doesn't give you that privilege to sort of just jump up and start challenging the top 5. Like, I feel like you should still fight maybe one more guy before looking at maybe a title shot or like a really big fight at lightweight. And I think the fight to make for RDA is Charles Oliveira. I feel like that's only fair that Charles Oliveira's won 7 straight. RDA, yes, is a former champion, but he's won one fight in the division. You know what I mean?
Brazilian on Brazilian action.
Yeah, I like that fight. I'd love to see that. Or, as you said, maybe give Felder a little bit of time to heal up and then book the Charles Oliveira versus Felder rematch.
Lightweight's juicy right now. You can do a lot with lightweight.
So juicy.
The juiciest.
Same thing again. You could do RDA versus Dan Hooker. You could do... I mean, that's the only fight to me. I think it's either Dan Hooker or Charles Oliveira. I don't want to see him fight anyone higher than that, even though, as he said, he's a former champion. He's calling out Conor McGregor. Not a huge fan of that call out. I thought that was a big waste of time and energy to call out McGregor after the fight when it's like I know you're trying to create a narrative and trying to give McGregor a reason to fight you, but literally a week before in an interview, he said, I'm not coming back to lightweight for the McGregor fight. I want to come back to win the belt. And then he wins his fight against Felder.
Dude, as soon as Conor McGregor's like, I'll fight you, they're like, when?
Yeah.
Like, right now. I'm good right now. I'll go right now. Let's go.
Just don't think anyone cares to see that at the moment, right? Like, the time for that fight has kind of passed. Like,
everyone
I'd like
likes
to see...
money, dude.
Yeah, I know. He wants the red panty night. He wants that red panty night that he was promised, but... you know what I think for Felder, though? Like, if you don't give him Charles Oliveira, which is a rough fight to come back to as well, considering, but he has won it in the past. I think you go Paul Felder versus Ally Quinter. I think that was a fight that was booked for
That's a cool fight.
UFC 223, if I'm not mistaken. Felder was meant to fight Ally Quinter on that card, and then that was the card where McGregor threw the dolly through the bars and like a whole bunch of shit sort of happened, and they had to pull Al into the main event.
Yeah, remember that?
But I think that fight was that week was meant to be Felder versus Ally Quinter, and I think it's not too late to do that fight now.
That was a juicy card. Was that 217?
No, it was 223. I'm pretty sure.
That was the same card when Namajunas upset Jacek, right? That was that same fight.
What? No. That was UFC 217. That was the
second time, because you remember Rose was on the bus and she was all shaken up for it.
Yeah, but Rose. No. So, Ally Quinter was pulled from the Paul Felder fight and fought Khabib because Khabib was meant to fight Tony. Tony fell out, and then he was going to fight Holloway, and then Holloway fell out, and then they were going to either go Pettis, but Pettis wanted more money, and then they said Felder, but Felder wasn't ranked high enough for the commission to allow it, so they pulled Ally Quinter into the main event. Yeah, it's just like a weird circumstances, but I think that's the fight they should rebook. Give Felder. I mean, Felder deserves it, man. He doesn't deserve to be pushed further down the rankings because of taking a loss like that. Like, he's had a really good run up until that. Yeah, he's on two loss streak there, but like as you said, he took the fight on 6 days' notice, and the fight before that, he debatably won against Dan Hooker. So
yeah, well, look, it makes sense. It makes sense that he moves down one and RDA slips in on.
Yeah,
top.
RDA like if he was in there, but I don't think he should slide in over Charles Oliveira, 7-fight win streak. I don't believe that that's fair.
Yeah, look, someone deserves to have their mouths pissed in, but like one ranking is acceptable.